We'll give you a break here. All you got to do is hold a microphone for 15 minutes. Griffin Conine, Pensacola's new single-season home run king. That was a season filled with ups and downs last year, as every season is, but it has to be a sense of accomplishment to have your name in the record books like that after the season that you had last year.
Yeah, definitely a cool honor to have. Also kind of one that, as soon as the season ends, kind of fades in a way. Like, I don't really, new season, clean slate, accomplished what I did and didn't accomplish what I didn't, and then this next season is sight set on that.
Well, safe to say the goal for this upcoming season is hit a couple more home runs, become the career home run leader, and then move up to AAA, right? That's the goal for this year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beyond that, how are you going to make that happen? I mean, last year you were able to stay on the field, but that does not necessarily mean that you stayed healthy the whole year. I know that you had a hamate bone injury in the offseason that kind of interrupted your offseason progression. How has this offseason gone as you try and stay through that whole season, this upcoming season, staying as strong and as healthy as you can?
Definitely a lot of gratitude this offseason to just be healthy, because that was last year. I never had an injury at all, really, knock on wood.
That's composite, I think.
It'll have to do. So yeah, that was the last offseason, the first time I had to deal with something like that, where I couldn't swing at a time where I really felt like I needed to swing and work stuff out, and that kind of leaked into the season and got off to a slow start and whatever. But this offseason, from day one, was healthy fully and just got to do everything I wanted to do, and has made a huge difference already leading up to spring training, but in a really good spot right now. Body, mind, soul, everything. So I'm just ready to go.
There was a lot of roster turnover last year. You were one of the guys who was here on opening day, and you were on the field celebrating as the Blue Wahoos won the Southern League Championship. And that's not something that is really something that happens all that frequently to minor league players, because you either end the season injured or you get called up or you get sent down. The stability that Pensacola provided you, spending one season in one place, how did that benefit you?
I think for sure getting to have a consistent routine and a consistent everything, really, consistent environment that you get comfortable with, the coaching staff, the teammates. Obviously, the teammates are floating up and down a lot, but there's always a group that's staying with you the whole year. So it was that was the first time in a season where I'd stayed with an affiliate the whole way through. And like you said, obviously the goal is to not be with an affiliate the whole way, unless you're with the major one. But at the same time, like it was awesome getting to see the team evolve throughout the year and lose players and gain new players and have guys fill gaps, and then it culminated in a championship, which also I had never been a part of in my whole career ever. So super cool to get a ring, and the playoff run was unbelievable. I don't think we weren't definitely the choice to win. I think we were with our roster at the start of the year. Going into the playoffs, the roster was far different, much younger. New guys did a great job filling the roles in the playoffs. And then, we just came together and got the wins. We needed them.
Talk about the new guys. I'm reluctant on the broadcast to use the word prospect because that's a very reductive term in the world of minor league baseball. As you well know, a team requires all 28 players, and whether or not someone online thinks that you're a prospect or not, that doesn't really matter. But you are a prospect, and that carries with it some weight, some cachet in the clubhouse. When you began your time in Pensacola in 2021, you were the new guy. But as the season went along last year, you became one of the veteran leaders on this team. And part of that was because of your on-field performance. How did you adjust to becoming one of those de facto leaders in the clubhouse?
I think that comes too with all the younger guys coming up. When I used to be the younger guy coming up, and now it comes full circle when you come up to a new team, and then it's tough early on because you don't, especially for me, I was traded here, so I didn't really know a lot of players to begin with. All my former friends, teammates were with the Blue Jays, and I'll admit I didn't do a great job of getting to meet everyone and introducing myself. So when I came up to Pensacola in 21, there was a lot of new faces that I wasn't familiar with, and this is late in the season, so everyone's kind of battling their own slumps and whatever. They're kind of caught up. So it was just knowing how I felt then, getting to kind of see players come up and knowing that they're probably feeling the same way I was, and just trying to help bridge the gap a little bit and, tell them that you level up, and I think Double A is a big jump, maybe the biggest that you make in the minors. So just helping the young guys deal with it and keeping the clubhouse light. And, it seems like a big deal being in Double A, but letting them know that it's just still the same game. It just gets a little harder. But we had a really good clubhouse chemistry last year, which I think it helped the young guys out a lot. Absolutely.
The Blue Wahoos clinched their playoff berth by winning the first half championship, and that meant that there were a lot of exciting, meaningful games in June when otherwise there probably wouldn't have been. But that also meant that there wasn't anything really to play for in the immediate future for the remainder of the season. How did you turn that gear back on for the playoffs, and what was that like experiencing a first half that was really exciting and ended in spraying champagne, and then an entire half season where there weren't any long-term stakes for the team?
Yeah, it was weird. I think I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't know that there was a first half that you could clinch.
I think I remember that conversation with you in the dugout.
I didn't know until like the week of, where we were in Biloxi, and then it became apparent that like we could clinch if we win these games, and I hadn't really grasped it because it was so far from the playoffs. Obviously, it's a unique format where you can clinch if you win the first half. So that was like a whirlwind in itself, that we were popping champagne in the middle of summer with so long to go.
Any excuse, right? Any
excuse, right? That was, and then we got to do it again as we won the first playoff series. But it was definitely a weird feeling after that. You had the sort of the lull where highly competitive. You want to, the race is close to clinch, and then you clinch, and then. The next few weeks, I could definitely say we probably weren't playing our best baseball, just because, the champagne hangover. And then once that wear off, we got to get the competitive spirit back. But I think like the last series going to the playoffs, Coach Randall kind of made a point to say like this is the time where you turn it back on, and we really didn't. The last week we lost to Biloxi. I think we lost the series. And that's when going into the playoffs, we were kind of like, I don't know how this is going to go. And we kind of just banded together against Montgomery. And even after losing the first game, we had a lot of guys step up and won the next two. And then from then on, we just got the next two.
I think in that last regular season series, you snapped the team's 0-for-28 streak with men in scoring position. So you were able to get the team off the schneid. Yeah. And then I would say the one strength of the Blue Wahoos offense in the playoffs was situational hitting. So I'll talk just generally about your hitting approach. How do you adjust and make sure that you're able to come through in those situations? If you set the franchise RBI record, obviously you came through in enough to make a difference.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to mentality is a big part of it. Just you see guys on second or on third, and it starts to speed up a little bit because they're so close to being driven in, and also as you're in the plate, you kind of know it's my job to get this guy in, and pressure can start to amount when you get in those situations. But I think what helped was just everyone was kind of stepping up and doing their part. So it wasn't like it was just on me or just on someone else. It was kind of like everyone was rising up, and even if they didn't get the job done, they were always putting together a good at bat or fighting to do it or hitting the ball hard somewhere. And then hitting really is contagious. I mean, everything is in baseball. So I think once guys started to do that, and you see guys having 10, 12 pitch at-bats, even if they were unsuccessful, that kind of bleeds into the next at-bat, and that's how you put together rallies.
Just a couple more for me, then we'll open it up in case any fans have questions. I sense that a few of you do. I'll ask you this. You are more than your last name, but a lot of people, especially Marlins fans, know you because of who your father is. And your father, Mr. Marlin, rejoined the Marlins in an advisory role this offseason. I'm wondering how you felt about that and how that changes your perception of the way things stand in the Marlins organization.
I'm very excited, obviously, right off the bat. More so just for him than anything else, because he's been very earnestly wanting to get back in the game in any sense. You know, he coached at FIU the year before, and while he enjoyed that experience and getting back into the instructional part of the game, I could tell that he wanted to be with the Marlins. That's where he built most of his career. That's where we built our life, and in South Florida. So I think when that culminated, he was really, really happy. And going forward, I think it's awesome to kind of have a connection to him being able to make an implement changes into the organization that I can kind of help bring to his attention, where there's things that we're lacking in some departments that I know we could be better at. And he's working directly with Bruce Sherman, who's an awesome owner to have, and wants to be a lot better, wants the organization to be better, and just wants to know how to do that. So I can kind of help say, here and here we can kind of make some changes that are simple changes really, but important ones. So I think bridging that gap and having him be a part of it is definitely huge.
And the hope, of course, is that you are part of the next great Marlins team that is able to create more memories for fans just like your father did, right?
Absolutely, that's the plan.
Last question for me. It regards the jersey that you're wearing. And this is a sneak peek. We're going to have some really flashy social media stuff on these jerseys in the weeks to come, but we wanted to give our fans a look at an on-field jersey that the Blue Wahoos will be wearing in 2023. I believe you grabbed that one off the hanger as different players were deciding what they were going to wear tonight. What do you like about the black jersey with the pink trim?
I've always liked black jerseys. I went to Duke, and my favorite jersey we had there was the black and blue. I just think it's a really clean look, and I was tempted sort of to go for the pink camo, but or not the pink camo, the pink
Hawaiian shirt,
the pink Hawaiian. But then I remembered that Banfield was behind me, and that's much more his flashy type of speed. And sure enough, he went for it right away. So I knew black was kind of more my speed, but I really like this one. I'm glad with my choice.
We got about 5 minutes for questions from the audience, and again, I'll restate them into the camera. Yes, go ahead.
What was the vibe like in the clubhouse after the 4 straight batters got hit by?
Reaction to the 4 straight hit batsmen in the walk-off win over Biloxi. I know what it was like up in the broadcast booth, but go ahead.
Bewilderment, I think. Just shock. I don't think anyone in that clubhouse could tell you that's ever happened, especially in that situation where we won the game because of it. I'd never seen anything like it. I don't know. We faced that guy again a few weeks later, or maybe months, and he hit several other guys again. So there's definitely some control issues.
A completely unrelated question. It came out publicly that our league experimented with some different gripped baseballs. How did you feel about the different gripped baseballs that were experimentally used in the Southern League this year? Completely coincidental question, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I think my views are definitely less polarizing than the pitchers, who I heard nonstop just complaining. And to be fair, I think that was definitely a part of the reason why he lost control like that. We had some guys that luckily weren't that extreme. They could mitigate it a bit, but there was definitely a bit of a curve in learning how to pitch, especially with this. They cracked down on sticky substance as well, which affected a lot of guys' release points. I was talking to pitchers about it, and they were saying how they had to rediscover where they had to release some curveballs, because if they didn't have the extra grip, they would go flying. So they had to kind of reorient how they pitched because of that, and especially the guys that used more of it, they saw more of so I'm wondering if Harold Chirinos probably used a lot of it. And then when he got it taken away...
I just want to say, for the record, no connection between these two questions.
But yeah, that was a crazy one.
All right, another question for Griffin Conine. Someone's got one, I know. Go ahead.
Okay, with the name Conine, does that give you any more personal pressure? Does that bother? I don't mean the name bothers you. Of course not, you're proud of that name. But I mean, just the fact, I'm Jeff Conine.
Personal pressure with the family lineage, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair question. I've gotten it a lot. I think if my dad was different, then it would bring a lot more pressure. But he's so kind of just do your own thing and helps when I need it, but never felt any pressure from him. And then that kind of bleeds over to with the name itself, kind of just doing my own thing. And then the name is incidental. Yeah.
Will Banfield's here. We got time for one more question for Griffin Conine. Go ahead, back there. Favorite out-of-town ballpark?
That's a good one. I think in the league, not just tooting our own horn, but Pensacola is probably the best in the league. But to answer your question, I think Birmingham. Birmingham has a great stadium. We only did the one road trip there. That was one of my favorites. And then I have a special place in my heart for South Bend. That was in High A League, so
Midwest League,
different league. But I have a lot of home runs hit there. So that's like, I'll always remember that. So you have to remember that. But also a beautiful stadium. So those are probably my two favorite.
Round of applause for Griffin Conine, Pensacola's single-season home run king. Thanks, Griffin.